Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Coach Chris. I'm really working with an athlete, and we're trying to get to the point where um, we can hit 6 foot. Now, I know that the athlete has this ability because of their strength and how hard they work, but we're running into a lot of different issues with the run up. So the spring season is over, the summer season has ended, and we are in the off season now, which means that we get to work on the technical aspects. So what I'm going to do is drop in a couple of videos here and show the athlete in the run up. Now, we're working on this bungee. We're working on jumping over the bungee, but what I need you to see here is the run up. And this is what's interesting. The athlete had a much faster run up during the season, improved, hit PRs. Now, and this is high jump. So if you want to work on your high jump, I'm here, Arch Academy. You can schedule time, leave a comment, and I'll give you the information. But the run up was much faster during the season. We are now at the end of the season. Maybe it's a little bit of sluggishness and fatigue, and we're going to have to start working on some other different things until we get to the fall, winter, indoor season. But the run up here is bad. The run up here is bad. So what you see is a very slow run up from a power jumper, a speed jumper, and there are differences. So if you're watching a high jump video, and I'm a new coach, so I'm not going to act like I know everything. But what I do realize is you cannot give instruction to an athlete that's generic and broad. High jump is the most specific and detailed event in track and field. You can't give the same instruction to every jumper. You can't. Many high jump athletes tend to be extremely lightweight, slender, tall, long. This athlete is a muscular, strong athlete that weighs a little bit more than what a traditional high jumper weighs. She's in the realm of Kimberly Williamson. So if you don't know who Kimberly Williamson is, I'm going to pop this open and go to YouTube. And I'm going to show you, see if I can get also like, oh, you know what? Perfect. Abigail Kwarteng is another one of those jumpers who's a strong jumper. So if you look at her build, she's not a traditional high jump athlete, but she's incredible. She's incredible. And a lot of what we work on in regard to this athlete is built around what Abigail Kwarteng does. So, and that's because she's muscular, strong, very strong. This athlete cleans right at around 80 pounds. And that's a girl athlete that's cleaning 80 pounds. That's not a joke. So you have a strong athlete. So this run up is too slow. And then it has a hitch right there. You'll see at that curve, that's a hitch. So you're not going to get any lift. Now we get to this part of the jump. And what I want you to see is if there's a lean. Now, you have this lean, but the leg is already collapsing, which means that we're losing a lot of energy into the floor. So the jump is not going to go through. More important, when the athlete begins to jump, because the run up was too slow and was not moving into the penultimate step the correct way, there's no potential for the rotation over the bar or over the bungee to take place. Now, this bungee is at about 5'8". It's about 5'8". So it's a higher height for the athlete. But if we keep going, we see that she's got her back there, but her knees are not up. That's because the rotation is poor. So the run up was bad. The rotation is poor. I want you to see another athlete here, and I'm going to see if I can find Kimberly. Yeah, Kimberly Williamson, high jump. And I want you to see Kimberly. Although Kimberly is a left side jumper, she is also a stronger athlete. And it's important for us to see her because she's bigger, more muscular, very much like the athlete that I'm training here. And she is incredible. Love Kimberly Williamson from Jamaica. But I wanted you to see this because what I want to do is open up another video here. This is the third one in the series of these jumps on this training session. And the run-up is still hitched. But we see something that happens a little bit different here. She picks up speed into the curve, but there's still that hitch. There's still that hitch. Now, when she comes in her comes into her penultimate steps, 1, 2, she's jumping up, and that's not a good thing to do. It should be a smooth transition into that penultimate step and then that plant. And then she's got a good lean away from the bar, but if you notice her shoulder, I'm going to see if I can stop this. I'm going to go back here. You see her shoulder is rotated. She's already turning her shoulder, trying to force the rotation over the bar. Now, we were working on rotation over the bar, but the bungee, we'll go to a bar video next. But because she's trying to force that rotation, she is going to get her back to the bar. But you notice the knee is coming across, and she's got about a 5-inch clearance there. With this bungee being at 5'8" and that low part probably at 5'2", she's got a 5'8" clearance right here. She definitely has a 5'8" clearance right here. But her knee rotation is better. She is not going to clear it. She's going to touch it, which means she would have knocked down the bar. But if you look at her head here, although you shouldn't throw your head back unnaturally, you should have a natural toss back, a slight tilt back, because that slight tilt keeps you going over in your rotation, and it allows you to bring the knees up, which she does well. She does bring the knees up very well there. So we look at this, and we want to see her bring those legs up, and she does. She could, if she had kept her head back. Once she brings her head up like this to tuck to her chest and bring her knees over, her butt drops. And when her butt drops, she doesn't clear. But this jump looks much better than the first one. Now, if we look at that run-up, once again, it's a bad run-up because it has a bunch of hitches in that run-up. So we go back real quick just to watch Kimberly in a jump. And you'll notice, you know what? I need to go back because what you'll see in Abigail's jump and here in Kimberly's jump, let's look at this one. See how smooth this is? There's no hitch. It's all smooth right through. Now, she misses that jump, but it was smooth all the way through. And that's what we want the runner to do, is to run and go through smooth into the jump. And if you see her head, it tilts back slightly. Now, she knocked the pole down, but that's okay. We miss jumps. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm looking at is the speed of that run-up. Because she's a stronger athlete, she moves much faster into the jump up. So we're going back to Abigail, and we're going to look at her run-up as well. So let's watch this and see how smooth there is. There's no hitch in that run-up. There's no hitch. And that's really important to see. And I'm going to watch this again because I'm going to a different video of our jumper to show you what happens when we decide to put in some box work. So we're going back here and we introduce the jump box because we want to work on the over the bar rotation. This is a completely different day. And here goes the run up, and it's much smoother. Everything is much better in this approach in this run up. Now the jump box adds about 5 inches of height, obviously. So let me go back so you can see what the jump box is. And you see it over here that I'm circling with the mouse. That jump box is not a spring box. So it's not propelling the athlete up. It's a stiff, round jump box. It's not a spring box. So although it's adding about 5 inches, this bar is currently set at, I think that's 5 foot. This was at 5 foot. And we lowered it from the 5'8" of the bungee to the 5 foot, because what we want to work on are the over the bar rotation and the mechanics going over the bar. And that's important stuff. But let's push play. And now let's go back and look at this again and see if we have that big bounce that we had in the earlier session. So this was after a week of working at the end of the season. So we get into that curve and 2 and 3 plant. And we're not getting as much of a lean because we have the jump box. All right, so let's not worry about that right now. But rotating over the bar, we have the athlete up. And here's what's important. The knee drive here is across the body. That's fantastic. But this is a 5 foot bar. Look at the back clearance here. That's almost about 10 to 12 inches of clearance for this athlete over that 5 foot bar. That puts her right at around 5'10" on the height of this jump. But what we want to look at is if the head goes back. The head does not go back. Once the head comes up, and she's never drops the head back. If she drops the head back, she holds that arch over the bar, and that's a much better clearance. That's not bad. That's still great height, but as soon as she brings her chin to her chest to prepare for the land, her butt drops. So she's got the potential to hit the bar, even if it was only at 5'2". All right. So she goes over the bar. Let's see if she lands on her shoulders here. And she does. She does a good job of landing here. So this isn't bad. Let's go to the second jump in this practice session and see. Once again, this is Arch Academy. We're training high jump. And let's look at this all the way through first. No hitch in the run up. Very smooth. Very smooth. Very smooth. Now, I don't like the speed. I would like for that to be faster. I'd like for that to be a touch faster. A touch faster. But it's very controlled, and I'm okay with that. We're in our 3 steps, penultimate steps. 1, 2. Good stiff leg. Great stiff leg lean. Now, this is what it should look like. She is not turning her shoulder here. She's not turning her shoulder. Everything looks fantastic all the way through here. And that's a great stiff leg. This shows that we've been lifting a lot of weights. You can see the muscles through the leg all the way through. That plant is fantastic. Let's see the knee. The knee comes across. The rotation should start. And the clearance there, once again, 10 to 12 inches over. Excellent. Excellent. That looks great. We'll work with the box for the rest of probably the month as we run miles, lift weights, run miles, lift weights, get stronger. We'll keep working with the jump box because the over-the-bar mechanics are better. What's missing here? Where's the head? Do we have any head tilt back? No, not at all. No head tilt back. And the way we're going to work on that is to start bringing the hands down and maybe slap the thighs, right? But she's flat across because she's starting to bring her head up, butt drops, then she pulls her legs over. It's very smooth, very smooth. And we watch that all the way back through. And then we'll go back and watch the Abigail Kwarteng jump. That looks fantastic. That looks great. All we need to do is work on a little bit of that head going backwards, and we'll be pretty doggone good here. So Abigail, let's watch Abigail again. And boom, you see Abigail. Abigail takes her head, she goes, brings it back, and then she brings the feet over the bar, all smooth, a 1.9 clearance. Fantastic. Fantastic. And this is where we're going with the athlete that I'm working with. Once again, if you guys would like to do some training at Arch Academy, just leave a comment. Let's work out the timing, and we can begin building the program. This athlete will be working all summer, all through the fall, not doing a bunch of jumps. We're not going to burn out or do anything weird. We're just going to continue to work as we move towards indoor season in December. It takes a lot to get the high jump correct. a lot to get the high jump correct. So when you look at the high jump from now on, I want you to respect the sport, all right? Because you're talking all of these steps, the run up, the penultimate steps of 1, 2, 3, the plant, good stiff leg, leaning away from the bar, the knee drive, getting the rotation over the bar with our back to the bar, the head slightly back, bringing the legs up and over the bar. That's a lot of stuff. And then landing safely on the back and shoulders, or even flipping in some instances. There's a lot that goes into the high jump. Respect the sport. And if you want to work on it, give me a buzz. See you guys on the next one. Peace.